6 games remaining, and there is so much on the line for the Cubs. Those trades that they made, we're going to make or break this team right now. So it's time to make things happen. And I'm glad to have you guys on the Cubs baseball channel. We're going to talk about this team with 6 games left. But first, let me ask you to join our roster. Like and subscribe. This is the Cubs baseball channel on YouTube. All right, so we got 6 games left, and there's 6 really tough games. At least you would think so. 3 at Atlanta and 3 in Milwaukee. And we're going to look at the playoff standings, but the Cubs right now are in position to make the playoffs if they can just keep winning baseball games. And they'll take on the Braves, who have won 100 games this year, and Milwaukee, who won the Central Division. And the thing that I think helps the Cubs, I mean, if you wanted to look for something, is that those teams really have nothing else to gain. The Cubs need to win to get into the postseason, so they're going all out. The Braves have gotten what they want. Milwaukee's gotten what they want, and the Cubs are trying to find themselves into the postseason. So, I mean, I guess that's a little bit of positivity in 2 extremely tough places to play. Although the Cubs have done good in Milwaukee over the years, no one really has had a ton of success in Atlanta lately. But part of that is that the Braves have just been so really good, and, you know, the Cubs have their work cut out for them the next 3 games. As far as the roster goes, is Jeimer Candelario going to be healthy? He's been on the IL since September 12th with a lower back strain, and he's been working towards coming back. You know, Monday he worked out really hard. We'll find out. I think today he's going to come off the IL, and he's going to be back for the Cubs to try to help him for these final 6 games. He's a guy that was brought up through the Cubs organization, traded to the Tigers, and then eventually came back in a trade with the Nationals. He really likes being a Cub. He wants to help this team win, and it's a shame that that lower back has been an issue for him, because the Cubs gave up a king's ransom to get him. And when you turn around and DJ Hers is a big league starter, and you're going to be like, well, you know, what did the Cubs get out of this? They need to make the postseason so that this trade makes sense. The other guy on the IL right now is Adbert Alzolay. He's eligible to come off of the IL now. The issue is he ready to come off the IL? And he's got that forearm soreness. Sometimes it turns into a strain. Sometimes it turns into Tommy John surgery. So you got to be really careful with this. David Ross used him a ton this year, and and that kind of led to the injury, but the Cubs needed him. Threw a light bullpen on Friday, and it's all about how he feels. And what you hope is that he doesn't just come back. He comes back ready to help this team win baseball games. All right, let's talk about tonight's matchup. Justin Steele for the Cubs. Still in the race. Don't count him out. Still in the race at 16-5 with a 3 ERA for the Cy Young. His odds obviously have dipped after back-to-back outings where he hasn't pitched well and he's lost. And he's opposed by another one of those Braves pitchers where you turn around and you go, where did this guy come from? Well, Bryce Elder, 12-4 with a 3.63 ERA, has been so solid for Atlanta. They're one of the best teams in the league, and they just seem to produce pitching and starting pitching. So a tough night for the Cubs bats, I'm sure, but hopefully Justin Steele up to the task to keep them close, and we'll be keeping an eye on that. Steele might have another outing under his belt in the regular season to help him get closer to that Cy Young, but back-to-back losses really kind of puts him in a spot where I don't know if he's going to win it or not. Talking about winning it, though, the thing that this team wants to do is get into the playoffs. Fangraphs says that the Cubs' playoff odds right now are 56.6, so they're above 500. To get into the playoffs, though, you got to be 100. So you got to get away from the 50 margin and keep winning. And when we look at the standings, you're going to realize that the Cubs are in this, and it all comes down to what they do. They hold their destiny in their hands right now. Around the league, the wild card contenders in the NL, Arizona's taking on the White Sox. You got Cincinnati and Cleveland, and you got the Marlins playing at the Mets. So these aren't favorable matchups for the Cubs. I mean, I'm guessing they're playing the toughest teams. But, you know, when it comes down to 6 games left, a lot of these teams do play hard just for pride. and you hope that that's the case. All right, let's throw this on here right now, and I'm going to put it on the major thing here so that you can see the whole thing. But this is what it comes down to. You don't see Cincinnati, but they're 2.5 back. These are the teams, I think, with 6 games left that are still contenders. I'm not counting the Reds in right now. Philadelphia, they're in. Arizona lost to the Yankees yesterday. So now all of a sudden they're tied with the Cubs. Now they do have the tiebreaker with the Cubs. Both of those teams are ahead of the Marlins. So it's down to 6 games, and I really feel like just 3 teams left with 6 games left to go. The Marlins a game back, but of course they're playing at New York against the Mets. I think the Mets are going to come out in that game, and they're going to be a tough opponent. And the Cubs are going to have their struggles against Atlanta, and Arizona playing the White Sox probably has the easiest of the schedules. So that's what we're looking at right now. And the Cubs' upcoming schedule, it's not friendly. I mean, this isn't, they're not playing last place teams. But sometimes you get into these spots, and it might be better to be playing against contenders than it actually is playing against teams that, don't have anything to play for. And the reason I say that is that, you see the Pirates, like their whole season is being a spoiler. The Braves and the Brewers are probably going to be setting up their pitching for the postseason. And the Brewers aren't really as much of a concern to me as the Braves are, just because, the Cubs have just historically played well in Milwaukee. So there we go. The old Milwaukee team and the new Milwaukee team, and that's who the Cubs finish up the season with. And going into today's action, we just got to wait and see what happens. But the Cubs just got to continue to push hard like they did the last 3 games. And as long as they keep winning, they're going to make the postseason. Guys, if you're not already a subscriber, please join our roster. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. This is the Cubs Baseball Channel. I'm Mick Gillespie. Thanks for being here.